Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about Shift 9S and all of the information about this unit. So as you know, 9S has been out for quite a while now, and that Nier Automata collab, most people were focusing on 2P because she was the main new unit that was really exciting with all the counter stuff going on, and most people just kind of ignored 9S because they weren't really that excited about him. Well, I'm different. I really like 9S in this game. He is a pretty great unit, and today I want to talk more about how he works, because in a way he's kind of similar to counter, but not exactly the same, but just how his damage works for his support attack trait. So I want to talk more about him now, so let's get into it. So first of all, I want to talk about how his support attack works, which is going to be in his trait. So when an ally is skill attacking, excluding the unit, then it deals a powerful medium area fire support attack around the ally's target. So this is very fast. What's important here is it's when your ally is skill attacking. So any ally in your team, any unit in your team, as long as when they use a skill, this is going to trigger and he's going to do an extra attack. Now this attack counts as arc skill damage, which is very unique because we don't have many ways to increase arc skill damage. It can't crit, so it's not the same as counter, where counters can crit and you can increase their damage by doing crits, but his support attack can't crit, so it is a bit different there. And obviously Slays won't work because it counts as arc skill damage, and we don't have many ways to increase that damage, like I said already. So now I've mentioned this trait, I want to talk about how are you supposed to be increasing the damage of his support attack trait. So I want to have a look at skills. I'm in my arena build right now. I've been using him on my attack team for the past couple days because I like him a lot. He's pretty fun to use in arena. So first things first, how to increase his damage with skills. Strength can increase his damage of his support attack, so his support attack will scale off of strength, which is quite important. And there are a couple other skills that increase all damage, which will work for a support attack trait. So Loxaeus' Revelation does work because it's all damage to non-god type enemies. This will work for a support attack trait, and I do like the skill. It's definitely worth putting on for 5SC, giving him 10% more damage from the support attack trait. It's very good. Then other skills like Empty Break will increase your strength, which will increase his damage as well, and Pride increasing his strength. So most of those are increasing his strength, but his support attack is fire attribute, so you can put on fire attack raise to increase his support attack damage even more. And even fire ensemble, this one's a very good one, but you've got to make sure you have a full team with everyone using this skill to really benefit from this, which is what I do have at the moment. So fire ensemble is very good. You can get up to 30% more fire attack damage, which will increase his damage by quite a bit. And Sky High, since this is all damage, as long as the enemy is in the air, he will benefit from Sky High skills. Now this won't always be super reliable because obviously the enemy has to be in the air for this to increase your damage, but I still think it's worth putting these skills on him. If they are in the air, then if you have both of these, then it's just 50% more damage, which is amazing. And then, honestly, there aren't really that many other good skills that can increase his support attack damage, at least in the game at the moment. But 108 Bell Tolls was from the New Year Limited arc. If you don't have it, then it was a paid arc, so I don't blame you, but this can increase his support attack damage as well, because it's all damage, so damage 10% as long as your hit count is 10 or less. So this one, I do like using it because, you know, it's useful. And let's say even if you've got a physical DPS in your team, which you probably will, 9S support attack is probably going to hit the enemy first before your physical DPS even lands their skill on the enemy, which is quite funny because his support attack is very fast. And then the last one I have here is this one, which just increases his strength by 10% more. So yeah, as you can see, most of the skills I have on him do increase his strength. Even this one, that's actually the last one, which increases his strength by 10% as well, because he's a machine type. So yeah, that's everything that I have on him. Besties doesn't do anything, I just have it because I was using him with another physical DPS, so I needed this on him, so just ignore that. But yeah, those are all the skills that can increase his damage for his support tag trait. There isn't a whole lot, so I would recommend just to shove a bunch of strength ups, and a lot of these skills are limited from limited arcs or UR arcs, like I know Fire Ensembles from a UR arc. So apart from skills, obviously the next thing to talk about is equipment. So equipment is also a bit similar, where there aren't many ways to increase his support tag damage. Now if you have his paid equipments, then obviously those are going to be his destined slot for increasing his support tag damage, because they're just so good for him. If we have a quick look at some other weapon options, because not everyone's going to have his paid equipments. First of all, let's have a look at fire weapons, because I know there's at least one or two. So one thing I want to mention first is this one. This isn't the most ideal weapon, but it does increase your fire attack damage, but it's based on the number of debuffs on the enemy, so this can work. And if you have it and you don't have his paid, then this may be the best option for you, because as long as you have a way to debuff the enemy a lot of times, then this will be a pretty good option. There aren't really many other good weapon options, because most of them are physical damage. There is this one sword which increases fire attack damage by 5% if you have it. It's not really that much of a difference, but it's something. I think a good alternative, honestly, is just going for either a machine or a sword that has a lot of strength, and try and increase its strength by as much as possible. There is one fire bow which you could use. If you've got this one, then this you could potentially use it, because when your HP is at least 50%, then you get 10% more fire attack damage. So those are the only options that I can see that what I've got, and honestly there aren't many. But if you're missing out on his paid equipment, you do have a couple of options available, so at least there are a few. But if you don't have any of them, then I recommend just going for a weapon that has the high strength, and that will still help his damage a little bit, but not as much as some of these weapons that I'm showing. Those are all of his weapon options. Now with his armors, there aren't really any good ones, honestly. Obviously you've got his paid, which is going to be his best one to increase his damage, but there isn't really anything else that I can see. I would just recommend again going for something that has high strength, or maybe useful. So something like this has 146 strength, so you could use this if you want to, but it's not going to do a whole lot. This one increases strength by 173, so that's a bit more. But yeah, there aren't really any good options for armors. Moving on to accessories, there are a few more options for accessories. So this is probably the best one, I think, because you get 10% more fire attack damage, and I just like using this because it also gives you 87 strength, and that's just useful for him. This one, I think this will work, but you've got to hit the enemy's absolute weakness. So if the enemies are weak to fire, then you could equip this on him, and it also gives him 100 strength, so this one could be a very good option. And then the last one I want to mention is this one, which increases damage to non-god type enemies by 7%, so kind of similar to the skill that I showed earlier, but on an accessory, and only 7%, but I would recommend using that if you got it. But if you don't have any of those, then there aren't really any good options, because honestly there's really not many ways to increase his support attack damage right now. If you have any of those, then good. If not, then just go for high strength, and that's really all I can say for that. So now I want to talk about recommended arcs that can increase his support attack damage by a bit more. So obviously it's a similar scenario to counter damage. Any arc that increases all your damage will be good. So New Year Wishes is obviously going to be probably one of the best options for him, because it increases his support attack damage by 25%, which is very nice. So I would recommend to use this if you've got it, but if you don't, there are a couple other options, and honestly you don't need any of these. If you don't have them, you don't need to worry about it, because there is a free-to-play option. The Conqueror of Flames is a decent one. This one's actually probably one of the best ones to use, because if you've got a full fire team, then this one will be the best one to use, because it can go up to 45% at level 15. But if you do have a lot of fire units in your team, then you could use this if you have this. Blaze Garden, obviously, I'm going to say this one because this one is a great one for counter units. I wouldn't recommend this on 9S just because it is better on a counter unit like Guile or 2P. Now the final arc that I've seen a good option for is Flaming Hero. So I was looking through all of the arcs and trying to see anything that increases fire damage or just damage in general, and I noticed this one which increases your fire damage by 25%. So if you don't have any of the other options I've mentioned already, then you can just use this one and this one will be fine for you. If you don't want something like this, then you could just put on a support arc on him, depending on your team. If you're using him in Arena or Guild Battles, you could put on anything that makes him a support focused unit, so then you can put on the damage focused skill arcs on your physical DPS and mage. So something to think about is depends on your team build. So now I've talked about everything that can increase his damage, I just want to show him off in Arena. So this is not an ideal team at all. This is just a team focused on increasing his damage as much as possible. So my current build, obviously I could increase his damage further, but I think this is fine. I've got that one accessory to increase his fire damage, and obviously his paid equipments because those are great. And then I showed my build earlier, but this is mostly focusing on strength, and then the other few skills that increase all of his damage or fire attack damage are what I have on him right now. So yeah, let's spar my own defense just to see how this goes. This won't be very good. I just want to show you the kind of damage that Shift 9S can do just by himself, but you've got to remember he is a support focused unit and he's not going to be your main damage dealer. He's just going to be adding some damage to the team, but it is very hard to mitigate the damage from his support attack because it counts as arc skill damage. So if it increases damage by a lot like I have in this team, then it can kill a lot of units, honestly. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using Renner's skill 1 because that will trigger 9S's support attack. So I'm going to target 2P, and then you're going to see that Shift 9S is going to attack with his support attack from his trait 1. There it goes. It did quite a bit of damage, obviously didn't kill him because, you know, I have my defense built quite tanky. Now you have to wait a little bit because you can't just spam his support attack. There is like 7 or so seconds. I don't really know how long it is, but it's kind of around 7 seconds or whatever. And then you can use another skill and then he'll do the support attack again. There you go. And that time it did manage to finish off 2P, so he is very good at killing 2Ps, by the way. If you want to know how to kill 2Ps, then just use 9S and he'll be able to take care of 2Ps very easily. So now we just need to wait a moment, and then I'm going to target 2P again and use another skill. There's a support attack trait, and there you go, 2P's dead again. That was quite easy kill that time. He isn't going to do very much damage against Guiles, because Guile takes 50% less damage, all damage, when he's standing still, when obviously he does that all the time. So 9S is not a good counter to Guile, but he is a good counter to 2P and other units like support units, or main one is Gilbert. He can kill Gilbert pretty well, but only when he's in his, you know, his buff state. So let's try this again. There you go. I did manage to kill Garland that time, which was pretty nice. I'm going to be trying to target Gilbert and see how much damage 9S can do against him. Use this skill again. There's a support attack. Didn't do a whole lot that time to Gilbert, but he is built pretty tanky, so I don't expect it to do a whole lot. Might as well kill 2P. There you go. So the damage numbers aren't the best, but they are still very solid considering he's supposed to be a support unit. This team is focused on his damage though. I want to kill 2P again, there you go. She's dead again. I do like doing it, it's pretty fun. This is not a viable strategy, having 9S as the only damage dealer, because it's just not enough. His support attack is on a cooldown, so you can't spam it all the time, and for that reason he's not going to be a main damage dealer. But I would recommend to build him as a support and doing something else, because otherwise he's going to be sitting there normal attacking and doing nothing. So ideally you want to increase his trait support attack damage as much as possible, but also give him another role, like either a buffer, healer, debuffer, or in my case, I'm making him spam Blizzard, and I think that's a very good build for him in Arena. So let's try target Guile, but it's not going to do a whole lot, as you'll see. So it did 900-ish damage per hit, which is okay, but gotta remember, Guile's very tanky, and he takes a lot less damage from all damage types, all damage sources, so yeah, 9S isn't going to do a very good job against him, but against 2Ps, there you go, she did again, so it's just very fun to me, because it's very hard to tank Shift 9S's support attack trait damage. Garland's dead, there you go, did some decent damage there, and we're just about to run out of time, but I'll try to do another. Never mind, Blizzard flinched. Okay, well, time's up, obviously, because, you know, that's going to happen, that's bound to happen. But let's have a look at the damage report, because the damage report's going to be pretty interesting. So, all that damage, pretty much all the damage, was from 9S. Now, I know it's not super impressive, but I still think it's pretty good considering he's supposed to be a support unit. Now, what I want to do is go in with a different team. And this is the team I currently am using, which is this one. I have this arc on him just because it's a support arc and I like having it. It's got 503 strength stats, so that's why I'm using it on him, because I feel like it gives him more strength, and I like this arc for the trait, giving everyone a debuff. Now let's try this again, and this will be what your team will probably look like. Something similar to this, having one main physical damage dealer and 9S is the way to go. I guess let's try and kill 2P first, maybe. Still did some good damage there. Now let's target Gilbert. Use a skill 3, 9S support attack damage, helped a bit. I mean, it's hard to tell at the moment. There you go, Gilbert died that time. Now that was not Nael. I can tell you that that was 9S because Gilbert had his Fulminator buff active at that time, so 9S just completely destroyed Gilbert because his Fulminator buff is only magic, physical, and counter damage, so Shift 9S does full damage against Gilbert when he's in that state. 2B died very easily there. Might as well kill Garland. Obviously his attack's going to kill my Nael, but I expected that to happen. So yeah, this team, I do like this team quite a lot. It is a lot more viable. I still find my defense annoying, but it's fine. Let's use a skill 2 here. I should be able to kill Garland, maybe, because 9S should use a support attack. Yeah, he did die that time, so it was like a combo. Nael used a skill, and 9S did his support attack trait, did a lot of damage, and then Nael finished him off with her skill 2. So I do like this, and you can build some interesting teams around 9S. You could have like a full fire damage team or something, which could be interesting. Obviously Guile's gonna finish off my team, but I wasn't trying super hard there. I just wanted to showcase his damage, and in this team, he didn't do as much damage as last time, but 100k just as a support is pretty impressive in my opinion, and Nael was the main damage dealer that I was using on manual, and she's going to be doing the majority of the damage, but 9S can chip in some of that damage and help out, and he does play a role in the team, which is spamming Blizzard when he can, so I do like this build, and I do like him in Arena. He's a very good unit, and he is decent in guild battles as well, so don't underestimate 9S. He is a very good unit, and I do like him a lot. I do really like 9S as a unit. He is one of my favourite units in the game, even though he may not be the most meta unit. A lot of people forget about this guy, and let me just quickly show you my current build for my PvE build. So this isn't the best unit in the game by any means, but it's still a fun unit and can perform pretty well. So this is a little bit similar to my Arena build, but not fully, so it's got the same type of, these three same equipments, but a different accessory, because I want him to be able to take a bit more damage and have a bit of survivability just to help. And I do have him set up as a SAT spam unit, so he's got Honey Elixir, which I think is very good. And another reason why he's a decent PvE unit is because of his Drake 2 gives 4,000 damage cap to the entire team, but it is a against most numerous enemy types buff, so if it's not going to be against every single enemy type, but I do like it. I have him focused on special damage as well, just because the special is decent. It's not the best, but I do like using it, and you might as well build him for that. Gaze of the End does help for a support, and Surprise Present even more damage cap, so he can increase one unit damage cap in the team by 7,000, which is actually pretty solid. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have. And the plug-in ships, I have special on him because it's my PvE build, but for the arena build, I did use a different one, just take less damage. So yeah, PvE build isn't super amazing, but I still like using him, and he's pretty fun to use. So yeah, that's everything I'm going to be talking about today. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and if you found this useful, then be sure to like this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.